You ready to do this thing?
Yeah, I don't know the title of this episode, but hopefully you do.
I do have it. As we were meandering, I was teeing that up. That's why they call me a pro in the biz. Welcome to this episode of the Prestige-ish Media Podcast. I'm your host, Craig Lake, and with me is the Dragon in Winter, even though this episode is the Dragon in Winter. Dan McNair. Dan, how are you this evening?
Oh, pour more honey in my ear.
Okay. We are here to talk about House of the Dragon. It is the penultimate episode, season 7, episode 7. Initial thoughts and a rating, Dan.
The first half of this episode, I was having a hard time staying with it. It just seemed more of our criticism on this season thus far. But then you get to Dragon Summerslam,
Yeah,
and everything after that held my interest. For a rating, I gave it a 7.6. What did you think?
I think I'm at a 7.5. And yeah, I think the Dragon SummerSlam really did a lot to make it feel a better overall episode. But I think you're right. There was a little bit at the beginning of stalling still. You being the action lord, I figured the dragon action. Jessica Z would have hated this episode, were the other thoughts that crossed my mind.
She probably would have loved the first shitty half of it, but the show is House of the Dragon, and I'm thinking, what made this episode good? Oh, it was when the frickin' dragons came in, because I don't think you saw one until that whole brouhaha. That's probably the key ingredient for me.
Let's start it off. We started with Helena and some of her dream sequences. I think this looked it was going to be a big plot coming out of last episode with Rhaenyra learning about her dreams. But I feel it was, we saw multiple Helena dreams, but it wasn't, and I'm thankful, but it wasn't Rhaenyra waking her up every 15 minutes for another dream. But it was a lame interrogation. She says she saw a gray mare, which can't be, I didn't even look it up, but I don't imagine that's a good omen. The only reference I have is this old gray mare ate what she used to be. Probably not a good omen for this show. What are
Gandalf
your
the Gray Mare.
shadow facts? What do you got on this thing? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the whole Helena subplot during this episode, I have as Helena on Elm Street.
Okay.
And if there was something tangible to pull away from a vision where you were, oh, that's going to be good, that would be one thing. But it seemed more Damon nightmares than Helena prophecies. And we all know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I thought when we saw her have the baby and the soldiers take it away, that was maybe going to be a Lyanna Stark moment or something like that. Obviously, we do get, I think that's kind of the play of the dragon in winter is her winter dream, which there's got to be some significance there. But yeah, not anything directly tangible, if that makes sense. I'll tell you what was tangible. Speaking of dreams, Aemond has a very horny dream about his mom. I pretty much knew that was a dream sequence. I pretty much figured Alice would be in play. He throws her off of him. In my experience, women aren't a big fans of you stopping them during the throes of sex. They find it offensive. Your thoughts, Dan?
Especially when they're your mom.
Out. Yeah. She's not a fan.
I was rooting for it to be a dream very early on. Alice didn't know, especially with the kiss bull crap, because we already got that. I was wondering if Alice Rivers, not Alex, way too similar there, if she gave him some GHB or field Cosby Spanish Fly or something to get him going this way. But yeah, we get Helena having Nightmare on Elm Street, and then we get Amon's Wet Dream. This episode isn't starting out strong for me.
In Vegas, we call it the old Sebastian Janikowski. But
Seabass!
yeah, I actually, if I'm gonna get a dream, it might as well be on this show something outrageous. It was better than the Helena dreams, but also in a hurts bad kind of way. You don't want to see it, but it's a train wreck. You can't look away. We get a little bit of Gwen has scouted ahead and they've seen Kristen Cole's head on a spike. There's, I don't know, is it 20,000 soldiers that's making its way to, they're at Tumbleton still, right?
Yeah.
Everyone keeps foreplaying about Rook's Rest, but it seems like everything's headed towards Tumbleton. I'm getting a little bit ahead, but ultimately that's where Ormond has taken Corliss. It
Still
seems
not dead. He's still
no.
not dead.
It seems a peaceful capture at first. I think based on however Corliss plays it, it seems Corliss, based on the finger that we see later, isn't going to play ball. What was your take on this play? And then we do get a little bit of Darren and Gwen, and Darren being, I don't want to be this type of king. I think it's alluded to us that Ormond's holding a few things back from him and Gwen. Gwen, when he's chasing him inside, I think is asking him, and they think that the big card he has is Corliss. Obviously, at the end, we also see the Ulf card, the old double reverse Uno Ulf card comes out. Where do you think that tension between the High Towers is going?
They've made Ormond pretty unlikable, and a side effect of that is Darren is not terrible. He seems to be maybe the most well-rounded person on the show right now. We just haven't seen enough of him, and he doesn't have anything in particular to root for, but you just root against everybody else, and by that process, he rises to the surface.
Yeah, and I think we have talked about a lot of characters that don't make us care, even with a season and a half worth of foreplay. But I think Ormond and the actor who plays, and even Gwen to a different extent, I think those three have really made the best use of their screen time. And it's not always a ton, but they've gotten the job done. And while I don't really for or root for any of them, they've at least done well in their roles, I feel. Corliss, no clue where that part of it's going. I assume he's holding out based on the ring that gets sent to his son. Anything else there?
No, they did an interesting quick cut where Ormond raises the knife and then it just goes to another scene. But you're thinking there's going to be something there, and as soon as Alan gets the box, I know what this is. That didn't have the surprise factor in the episode, but there were some other good things.
Back to back shows with a missing finger delivered. How about that?
Huh.
Nate did Nate Jacobs proud.
It's the new lesbian in TV.
Yeah, needed more hoot euphoria. That show didn't disappoint at least. Damon at the Vale. I think we've seen way too much of the Vale this season. The Moon Door reference is okay, but it doesn't seem that served a great purpose this season. It seems wasted reps. What did you make of the short Vale scene that we got, which ultimately is that Reyna is gone, even though she was supposed to keep her at the Vale?
Good special effects, and it is a familiar locale to fans of the universe. But story-wise, character-wise, it just doesn't do a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if they had more written in for this set and pulled it, and they've already got the set. But to me, when you talk about last season, it was a big budgetary issue, and this just seems all wasted to me. Even what we got last season, it's if the Veil never existed in this, aside from Sheep Stealer, which could just be on any hill in the middle of bum nowhere, I don't think anything changes. And by the way, also missing on the board is Rhaenyra's youngest son that came back, and she couldn't see him because he was asleep 3 episodes ago, and we haven't seen him since. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, there they might not have Dramamine, but they have drag.
How about that? We did get an Adam and Alan and Bela love triangle. I think Dragon Adam is surprised that as he brings something up to Bela, she's, oh, did Alan say something to you? And that kind of takes him off guard. I think definitely one of them's getting her, and then one of them is getting the leftovers, the burnt leftovers in the corner. Isn't that where we're going here? And do you have any thoughts on this?
I think they did deliver this pretty well, but apparently the brothers haven't talked to each other. I thought that part was a little bit weird.
We've got one thing I did want to mention is Eamon in one of the scenes when his mom does finally show up, he grabs her because I think he's still thinking it's part of his dream. And I'll probably bring it up now just because I don't want to miss it later, but I did think the setup was funny in his banging dream, and then his mom trying to initially not literally seduce him, but seduce his favor is always, oh, you're my last thing and my sweet boy, or whatever it is. And then the real line at the end from the mom is my foolish boy when he admits that he tried to kill Aegon. I just thought that was an icing or a cherry on top of the mom backhanding him here and there.
And we've both seen them whine about how the other one had it better. This is funny coming from him.
Yeah, Aegon ultimately kills her escort, not Massaria, but a gentleman of the King's Road that took her there. I guess I'll jump a little bit to this. We get that Alice versus Alicent awkward dinner. I feel we've all been there with a significant other a time or two. Alice reminds me of probably one of my worst girlfriends. Draw a straw which one that might be. But it's just a super awkward situation. Neither of the females each other. What was your reaction watching that dinner exchange with her?
I thought it was funny because Alice has her angle, but she doesn't know about Amon's Oedipus deal, probably. She hears all the whispers on the wind, but I don't think she knows his inclinations. I don't, Alice, anybody opposing her, I'm game for. I'd like to see her taken down a notch or two. Even though the whole thing was icky, I am rooting for Allison yet again.
Yeah, I think of these three. Tough to root for Aemon too. Between him and Alice, draw straws, I guess. But they definitely deserve each other in a weird way. It's just very much a thing. I do think though that she did have a clue because she said something to the fact of all you Targaryen boys all want the same thing. And I think there was a dream of Daemon banging his mom last season. And
Oh, there was, yeah.
I'm thinking that she knows. That adds to the spice there because I don't know how else I would read that line, but that's how I read it coming off the tongue, if you will.
That adds to the spice in the spiced wine.
Yes, we do. You called out early that you thought the Lannisters had the gold and me lucky charms and all that kind of stuff. Tywin seems to be a pretty solid Lannister, right? Lynn, Tywin, Thailand, whatever Ty he is, Ty Lannister.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he's hitched his wagon to Aegon, which makes him less likable. And he was on the wrong side of things the way my rooting interests were last season. But all in all, he's not shady, he's not backstabbing, he's not doing incest. You take all
Yet,
those Lannister
yet.
qualities off the board.
We'll see if he can dig up his brother's corpse and we can get that back on the board. But I would say that as far as he goes, I'm not a big Lannister fan in general. And I was never one of those who was, oh, Jamie Lannister's a good guy now. Yeah, good compared to what he was, good compared to Cersei. But I was never, he's fine, but there's a lot of Jamie lovers out there that were wooed by his looks and charm. And so anyway, for someone that traditionally isn't a big Lannister fan, the fact that he's even passable to me, I think is significant on his part that I don't hate seeing his face. And obviously not on the side of my general rooting interest, although the show has made it very hard to root for Rhaenyra this season, and it started last season. I'm a traditional Rhaenyra rooter, but this is rough, man, as far as she goes. It has not been a good season, and I don't imagine we're headed towards a positive path. To that point, we get Manderly at the
Council?
yeah, and he rightly figures out that he's been set up as this patsy for the lack of coin, and he's getting smeared on his walls or whatever. He's various substances, hoping, I think, about as good as you can hope for there after blood. As far as the substance meter goes,
They don't have fentanyl.
the old Spider-Man webs going up on his wall wouldn't be a good time, I don't imagine. She finally gives Harrenhal to our understanding old lady Frey, Matlock Frey, and she's tickled, even though good luck getting this hole of a Harrenhal, the haunted halls. But we'll see where that leads us with the Freys. Any thoughts there on the small council diddling that was going on?
This was still in the half of the episode that just felt nothing really substantial for me. I didn't take a lot of notes in this part. I wasn't that vested.
And I do feel Miss Saria's interesting character at least last season, but I feel other than the last scene, which can get various marks from me, although my understanding is I think she was pregnant this season, that makes it a little less hot on my book, but I don't know. I just think as a character, it's much her annoying voice. It's all very one tone. Am I alone there, or how do you rate Missaria as a
We
character?
we were wondering about her accent 2 seasons ago, and it hasn't really rounded the bend very well. The her and Damon kind of brother sister fighting doesn't do a lot for me. And she doesn't seem to have a lot more depth to her than that. She just wants to be charitable for the small people. There's not a lot there. She's one of those characters when you see that it's going to be a scene focused around her, where you kind of go, okay, wake me up in 45 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, I generally agree. I do think that if this episode's job was to fully heel turn her, because I think she's been a sympathetic character, right? She's been this rise from rags to riches tale far. But last episode, we see her kill somebody that squealed on her. And then this episode, she basically brings that girl from the town. It did seem she was showing off, and there was some mention of the swords being 100 cocks vying for petitions or some version of that. But that person who Masseria offers to be a proxy for finally calls her out. And then as she basically has her shooed away, she kind of does a whore will remain a whore. You can't make a housewife thing on her. Any thoughts on that scene? I did think of her scenes. That was one of the more effective.
We don't shame people or women because of their looks, but this scene would have been a lot more interesting if that other house madam that she brought into the throne room had something to offer.
She did Dan wisdom, and I think
Right, and wisdom's hot.
no, it was not hot. It was not a hot scene, but
Mysteria is saving that for later.
I think that character maybe needed something less hot to get to her brain at some point. I don't think it, but I would say this. You would think that would maybe be a wake-up call for her, but as you see her just sewing the honey and silk and Rhaenyra at the end, and then I don't know if that whore will always be a whore thing got to her, but obviously she's putting out of sorts. Do we think that those correlate? And did you notice, for me, I've thought Massaria has generally tried to give authentic advice here and there, although it's always been angled in her favor. But as she starts talking to Rainier at the end of this episode, it just seems she's saying whatever she wants to hear, whatever she wants to hear to get wherever she wants to get it, even if that's third base.
Yeah, it felt more of a heel turn. But maybe what they cut out was that other lady coming into the throne room passing her a gold strap on or something like that,
Oh,
like a
geez.
Milana's type implement where she might be lacking.
Send old Maester, the old bald Maester off to do some handiwork.
The old bald maester ain't what he used to be.
Speaking of, Aemon is back at Harrenhal practicing his nunchuck skills with Napoleon Dynamite. He's practicing his various weapons as his mom walks in and spices his wine. I think it looked she was grabbing for a dagger, but it in fact that guy had to have had poison on him. As we know, this is a game.
No, that wasn't it. She's out where his corpse is, and there's a garden there. And she
Oh, okay.
sees the plant that Helena was talking to her daughter
Okay,
about.
got
That's how she got the nightshade or whatever it was.
say big stretch from the show to come to that one, but Dan tied it together for him. Like a packet on him or something, because it looks she's gonna get a dagger or something. But as we know from this show, this is not a quote from me, but the show has repeatedly said poison is a woman's weapon of sorts or whatever it is. And she spices his wine. Pretty obvious, right?
Oh, yeah, the whole drink this wine. Yeah. Especially when I was putting together her being out in the garden and the plants and all that.
I wouldn't have mind seeing, I guess this is not the story they're telling us right now, but a double mom son poison might have been good here if that was her only way to save Helena and she had to drink some too, because I would have probably made her drink it, I think, in front of me before I drank it.
Especially right after Alice tells her basically, your mom's going to betray you.
Yeah, but he does finally admit, and I guess this would be a good show excuse for him not being aware of it, as he was too caught up to tell her that he tried to kill Aegon. And that's where she says, my dear foolish boy, but she knew and really did know, I think. We have the Hamlet skull at Rhaenyra's abode that is later hucked into the fire. Rhaena and Baela and all of the Adams and Rhaenyra comes. It's a big dragon howdy doody time.
There's one part of this that I don't quite follow because basically Adam and Bela run into the small council and we saw something weird.
Yeah.
And they basically out the whole sheep stealer thing.
And the maesters, you weren't supposed to see that yet. Go ahead.
But Bela knows that her sister's on sheep stealer. She's been lying to protect her since the Battle of the Gullet.
Yes.
So the fact that she would kind of
I think because Adam was there, it probably forced her hand. She couldn't let him know that she knew what she knew, probably.
I guess, but she's got to know that something bad is a brewing.
Yeah, no, I definitely think, and luckily Damon makes it there first, and we get this battle going, and then Rhaenyra shows up, which I don't know that I would be expecting. I was just expecting the other two, not all three. And then Adam's grabbing Rhaena, running off into the woods, this hermit. Just a dragon show. I guess if I were to take one thing out of this, it's when the dragons get involved, it's a crapshoot any which way it goes. Yeah, you could. It's people that are always, oh, my dog never does anything. It's he never does until he does. And that's my favorite thing with other people not putting their dogs on their leash, because it's okay, your dog may be fine, but you don't know how my dog's going to react to your dog being a maniac. And then the next thing, you end up in bad road alleys.
Same thing goes with children
and cats. What did you make of this? I think it, if anything, you look at the Dragon Math board, they thought Sheep Stealer would be a good get. It cost them at least one dragon plus Sheep Stealer, effectively two dragons between Jace's dragon and Sheep Stealer himself. Some dragon damage is taken. Certainly Rhaenyra's took, it feels a lot of damage there.
I think Caraxes, Damon's did, but all in all, I think this could have gone a lot worse with 4 humans running around 4 dragons. Stealer is just badly injured, right? I didn't think Sheep Stealer died. I thought he just had a bunch of holes in his neck.
Yeah, I think it's possible he's alive. Yeah. I think it was wishful thinking that he was out of the picture almost. We do see Rhaena do the no, he's gonna die, but I guess he probably doesn't die, unfortunately.
He's gonna pop back up because be it Corlys or be it a dragon, things seem to come back to life quite a bit in this show.
The one thing I did think was funny about Aemon being poisoned was when Alice he stumbles in and she calls him an idiot. Pretty humorous for this show. Alicent sneaks out. I can imagine it's probably going to be pretty treacherous from her. They've mentioned kind of the King's Road being dangerous several times. I hope that our buddy Dunk and Egg are on the road to stop the raping, sir, because I have a
Well, and that's
feeling.
assuming she even gets out of Harrenhal, because you got to think that Alice is going to patch up Aemond with one hand and be hot on the trail, all bloodthirsty for revenge.
Yeah, I guess my point would be either which way it goes, not a great position for Alicent to be in at this point. She's definitely out of her depth a little bit.
Unless she can somehow get to Darren and Gawain.
And boy, Helena has her dream. We've got the baby being taken for her. We've got her Dracarysing the town. The Winter's Dream. We kind of talked about it earlier, but any major thoughts or themes for me there?
The Winter Dream, it looked her son that died at the beginning of last season was there with the twin.
Okay.
That seemed, unless this new one that she's pregnant with is going to grow to be the same size as the one that's a couple of years old, that seemed maybe an alternate reality.
White Walkers. Rhaenyra calls out Messiah. First, she rejects Daemon. She goes to the room to kind of call out Massaria for all of her honey ear soothing or whatever she's doing. But she kind of gets honey potted in the end, if you will. Any final thoughts on the girl on girl there?
I think I used all of my material earlier.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I guess if I had a bad part of all this, it's 6 more weeks of Massaria. It's the old groundhog peeking its head above the ground. That's probably the most disappointing part. We see, and he almost bails. Laris has left them to tell the songs of his harrowing. And to Lannister's credit, he's going to stay because they're really all looking for him and hold this line as he's giving this speech. Now, I thought the dragon was going to be Vagar, but I definitely thought a dragon was coming as they begin coiling in fear. I think that's kind of a tropey thing that happens. Could you see all that happening? And then I guess the old Sunfire scene we saw earlier in the season finally pays off here.
Yeah, when they had that earlier, anybody that was watching or listening to the pod will know that I thought he was going to come back to life. And since then, unfortunately, I've seen some spoilers based on the source material. As we were leading up to the scene, I had all my antennae on alert, and it paid off the way I thought it would. It still was a great scene, even though I wasn't as surprised as I would have liked to have been. But this seems Aegon was the Make-A-Wish kid, and his scorched face and body dream came true. Yay for him.
I did think it was funny in kind of a up way, but Sunfire's face is half mangled his. I almost
Yes.
think it's the opposite side of his, but still an interesting touch. And as he tells Sunfire to Dracarys, everyone, get a little bit of Mad King vibes, right? He starts laughing, but definitely laughing a little too heartily. Anything there?
If you look at his tongue in the laugh, it's a Gene Simmons thing that he does.
I was not inspecting his tongue, Sir Dan.
Oh, geez, I could have done a tonsillectomy.
Ale for Ulf, finally. Our buddy Ulf in the hands of Ormond. He's hinted that he's going to be Ulf, Lord of the Tides. Rhaenyra, we've mentioned, she set herself up for this. This is one of the few spoilers that had made its way towards me that this turn was possibly coming. And it looks, as we stand at the end of the episode, Ulf is back to Team Green. Is that how you see it? And any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think he's been casting his lot. I did not know this was coming, but I was not surprised the second they were sitting there. Oh, of course, because a man needs his sustenance and cheer. What else is there to go on?
And castles and coin and anything that he could
And a
have gotten.
lordship.
And the fact that Damon's pretty much done as much as possible to emasculate him. I can understand it, but I don't get, and certainly a funny Alf more than evil Ulf. But yeah, we'll see where that's going. But in your dragon math, it's definitely starting to get a little more murky overall.
Yeah, which had to happen. And I didn't really want to see it because I'm still Team Rhaenyra, but you knew it was coming.
Yeah, and as much as Rhaenyra has taken the crown, I do feel in this story, Rhaenyra's kind of got the end of the lot. Even when Team Green was in power, they had some real moments in power. There were at least moments of victory for them, but I just don't feel Rhaenyra's really had any lasting satisfaction as a human. It's been a pretty miserable lot for her.
Yeah, she showed up there and everything was in tatters.
But outside of her banging her uncle in a whorehouse or banging a whore in her uncle's house, doesn't seem she's had a lot of happy times, if you will.
No, hard times for it's tough at the top.
Yeah, don't I know it? It's tough at the bottom too. Going into the last episode, any expectations, looks based on the post episode, pre episode, maybe a battle? I don't think they're stupid enough to end the season without a battle after last season. But will we see a conclusion to a battle? I wonder where this is all headed. Any expectations for next week on your side?
I just need some fatalities. Everybody's been walking around this season. By the last episode, you have arrived at your destination. Enough traveling, just do the thing.
Who has died? We had Kristen Cole. Obviously, we know you're.
Jace.
Yeah, Jace was hard times early, but that feels more last season's finale as it should have been. But yeah, Jace and Kristen Cole, but pretty quiet, I guess, otherwise, right?
Yeah, not a lot of other. Oh, at the beginning, Otto Hightower, too.
Oh, yeah, that was another pretty big death, all things considered.
Back when the season was good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely been a while other than Kristen Cole since we had a meaningful death on the board. Doubt we escape it next week. Tune in later this week for Dark Side of the Ring. Next week will be the finale, and then we will maybe make our way to Lanterns on HBO.